Hey guys, sometimes you need to do some tasks repeatedly. For example, let's say you need to copy 30 files from one location to another. In this case, you can either type 30 copy commands or use something that is called a loop. Now, simply put, a loop allows you to perform some tasks repeatedly until a certain condition is met. There are two types of loops in Linux, for loop and while loop. In this lecture, we'll talk about for loop. Now, a for loop is used to iterate over things. For example, a list of files that you need to copy. And the syntax of for loop is for variable name in list, do some command, done. Now what's happening here is, let's say you need to copy 30 files from location A to location B. Now what for loop will do is, it'll take each item from the file, assign it to the variable name or the variable, perform some command, for example copying it from A to B, and then move on to the next item in the list until the list is exhausted. Now let's look at it in action. Here I've got my lab system and let's create the script file. And let's name it for underscore example.sh. Bin bash. Now for name in John, Sam, Naveen, Ahmed, do echo now. This is a sample for loop. Now what's happening here is, I've given it a list of names. This is a list of strings, each string separated by a space. The variable name is name, and the command that I'm going to do is echo, and what I want to do is I want to print out each name after hello through my script. So if we save this, make this executable, and then run the for loop, you can see I was able to print out each item from the list using for loop. Now you can also give it numbers. So let's open up our file again. Let's comment this one out. And type in for number in, you can either type it like this 1 2 3 4 5, or you can give it as a range. So to give it as a range, you can type in curly brackets, the start of the range, in my case 1, 2 dots, and then 10, and then curly bracket close, do echo, and I'll just call it $I. So it'll just print out the numbers from 1 to 10 on screen, and save, and let's just run our script again. Okay, something's wrong with the script, so let's have a look at it again. Oh yeah, so I gave it a name number, but I called it as I, which is why it was not able to print. So let's correct it and save it again. Let's just run our file. So as you can see, this is the way you can use a range of numbers in your for loop. You can also decrement this range. So instead of 1 to 10, to decrement it, you can type in 10 to 1, and let's save it. And if we run it, you can see that this time it started decrementing these numbers. Now let's clear it and let's move on to a more real life example. Now in this example, what we'll do is we'll first use for loop to create 30 files into a particular directory, and then we'll copy those 30 files from that directory to a target directory. So let's create two directories first. Orig for my original directory and new. Now let's use the previous script file, comment this out. Now what we need to do first is we want to create 30 files in directory orig or orig. So I'm going to say for file in, and now what I can do is I can use the number range as 1 to 30, 2, and I can touch the file and I can give it the name as file underscore $file.txt. Done. Now what this will do is it will create files with the naming convention as file underscore 1, file underscore 2 up until file underscore 30.txt. But before we save that, oops, should not have saved it, should not have done that, but let's try that here. Let's edit this one. So for file in 1 to 30, 2, and what I want to do is touch file underscore $file.txt, and I want to touch it in my home directory and then org, and now I can save it. And let's run this file now. And if I go to orig and do an ls, you can see that this script has created 30 files for me. So in this way you can create any number of files in a particular directory. Now for the next step, what we need to do is we need to move all these files from orig to new. Now let me show you a different way of using for loop, which is through the command prompt. So you can also use for loop right here, and the way to do it is if I go into orig and let's say do an ls, I can see all these files. I can say for file in $ls if I wanted to move all these files, then semicolon to copy $file to my home directory / new $file, and done. And if I hit enter, I can now go to my home directory and new, and I can see that it has copied all these files into the new directory. So this is how you can use for loop through the command prompt as well. Now let's just create one more directory. Let's call it log. Now let's touch a couple of files in new directory and let's call it 1.log, 2.log, now let's say, let me just clear this first and do an ls. Now we've got all these files, but we don't want to copy all of them. We only want to copy the files that have .log extension, and you want to copy them to the log directory. Now to do this, let's just first create our filter. Now our filter is not ls because ls will give us every file in this directory. We can try ls and then a combination of grep, and we can grep on log. And if we do that, we can see it's given us 1.log, 2.log, 3.log, but it is also giving us log directory. So we can say .log, and now it's only given us 1, 2 and 3, the files that we want to copy. Now we can type in for file in dollar and ls grep .log, bracket close, do copy to, let's give it the absolute path. So I want to copy dollar file to my home directory, new log as dollar file, and then done, and hit enter. And now we can go to log directory and do an ls, and we can see that we were able to copy just the files that we wanted. So this is how you can use for loop and grep command to copy the files that you want from one location to another. With this, we've come to the end of this lecture. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.